Thanks. I'm going to show 10 slides of work that's inspired the work that we do, and then 10 slides of our work. All right, so creative placemaking is site-specific, and it's the public space redesign that strives to add culture and vitality to our communities. So it's pretty clear that these two people are kissing only because of those umbrellas. But it is the vibrancy that can be made in public spaces. All right, it's tactical because it could be temporary, but it seeds change. It illustrates what could happen in public space, and it makes our communities more vital and more interesting, and brings us all downtown to meet our neighbors. And that's what public space work is about. So this is a project in Portland where it's a community building project that simultaneously calms traffic, beautifies a neighborhood, creates place identity for community. There's about, 20 or 30 of these in Portland, and they change the neighborhood. And public art can also be for safety. So there was a guerrilla crosswalk movement that evolved into the artistic crosswalk movement. So the guerrilla was tactically leading to the formalization of the pedestrian orientation of our streets, taking back the streets, which is a big theme in tactical urbanism or creative placemaking. Here in New York City, they've used just paint and planters, and they've completely changed the functionality of the street. It cost almost nothing, and they then went in and did it with hardscape. But this is the initial rollout and how quickly you can change the world with paint. Parklets are borrowing back the best real estate in our cities that for some reason we gave away to parked private cars. So there's hundreds and hundreds of parklets around the country. San Francisco has over 100 themselves. It's a very valuable thing. And so another one is pop-up events, where we use underutilized public space and we create events that bring people together. And we all know that cities exist because we actually like people. So when you can build up community amenities like this, you've charged up your town. This is an image that really got us going, the 200-foot dinner table. We're going to do one in Montpelier this summer. But when you can actually open the street, you got to change the vocabulary. You don't talk about closing streets. You open the street to people and have a dinner party downtown. Many of you don't know probably that this started Church Street, which is Burlington's trademark space, began as an experiment. It began on a day, and then a weekend, and then a week, and it became permanent. So the rollout of an idea can actually seed the future, and that's what it's about. So this is the first project I did 4 years ago in Montpelier, which is a parklet, and this is 20 minutes after we were done. So it was a big hit for everybody but the merchants. There were some merchants that couldn't get over the fact that we stole parking. So for year 2, we rolled it around the corner, transformed it, and took over an empty lot. So the idea here was, how do you make a pocket park from the infrastructure of what began as a parklet? We still built a bike parklet just because we're stubborn, but we basically created a space on an empty lot. So the key to public space work or creative placemaking is that it needs to be a break from the hardscape. It needs to be comfortable, and it needs to have diverse seating. And as you can see from here, we have rainwater catchment and a green wall and some beautiful plantings, shade, night lighting, plants. And what's interesting is that public space is really, good public space is the ultimate expression of democracy because it serves everyone. When you get a homeless person sit down in your pocket park and start chatting with other people, you realize you've provided something valuable. So our third project began as the idea of a sculptural bridge or a landscape sculpture, and then we said, let's just take over the whole street. So from the left, for an entire block, we commissioned 20 pieces of art to transform a street into a public art space. You can see here just 4 or 5 of the pieces, portraits on buildings, the floral bridge. You can see a huge landscape mural, and below it are anonymous paintings contributed to a wall. In the center of it, we created our third parklet. So we provided shade and kind of a sculptural, crafty thing. Each of these commissions varied in price from $5,000 to free. This was built by builder friends of mine. And up behind it, you can see just the bottom of a triptych photographic panel of elder athletes. So starting in the upper left, we did some wheat paste art. We painted 3 dumpsters. The middle image is a gateway that marked the beginning of the street. There's the huge landscape painting. And then we did Montpelier's first graffiti art piece, 3 monkeys swinging on vines painted on a building. And then the other important thing about creative placemaking is to program what you build. So we did a series of events on the street that opened the street, that basically brought it to life. It's not enough just to decorate it, but then it becomes a context for gathering. So we had 3 or 4 programs, and this summer we'll do the 200-foot-long dining room table down the middle of the street. And we just became finalists for a Vermont Arts Council animating infrastructure grant to do the entire street with a canopy of lights. So this is an artistic rendering of the notion that at dusk every evening, zing, the street comes alive and then it goes off at midnight or something, but to create context. So how can all of you get engaged in this? The first thing is to have a great idea. The second is to build a team or have a local zealot like myself. Then develop great graphics. So here's a 3D model, and when you can sell it to people and engage them, that's really the most important part of the project. Raise funds, build, program, do it again. Thank you.